Hi, my name is Alan, aka Birdman, because I feed the birds.
Hi, I'm Shadamon.
Hi, my name is Nathaniel, aka Chop the Thunder, aka Camel Delight.
Hey everybody, it's me, Venus, and I'm here with Zoe, recording.
Hey everybody!
And we're here to interview one of their employees, Sophia Lopez, and she's going to let us know what Project Sister is all about and what she does here.
Hi everybody, I'm Zoe and we're here with Sophia Lopez and we're here at Project Sister. So, Sophia, what is Project Sister?
Project Sister Family Services. We are the local rape crisis center. So we work with men, women, and children survivors of any type of sexual assault or child abuse. We're actually located in Pomona, as you know, because you're here with us. But we serve 27 different cities and parts of LA and San Bernardino counties, Glendora included. And we offer several different services out of our agency, one of which is our 24-hour crisis hotline. That's available 24 hours a day if something's happened to you or someone that you know and you just really want to talk about it. You want to see how we can help you. We are always just a phone call away. We also offer counseling. The first 10 sessions of counseling with us are completely free. After that, it's based on a sliding scale, so based on ability to pay. The majority of our clients don't pay more than $1 to $10 after their initial 10 free sessions, and we would never turn anyone away based on inability to pay. And we don't work with just survivors. We work with the entire family as a whole, because this type of violence doesn't just affect the person it happened to. It really affects the people who love and care about them. And we want to make sure that they're getting the support they need as well. So we offer all of our services to immediate, non-offending family members. And it's not like it's 10 free sessions for the whole family. It's 10 free sessions per person.
Oh,
and
wow.
so we will work with any immediate family members as long as they are not the offender, because we do not work with offenders here at Project Sister. And then I am part of the Prevention Education Department, and what we do is we go out into the 27 different cities that we serve and do presentations and workshops and really try to raise awareness about this issue as well as about our agency, because a lot of what we do is crisis intervention, which is the hotline and counseling and really working with survivors and their families once something's happened. We're on the other side. We want to make sure that we prevent this crime from happening and also let people know and break some of the silence that surrounds this issue.
So you go out and you want to prevent this from happening. So from my understanding, you go out and you talk to schools, starting from, do you start with elementary or do you start, you talk to elementary school kids as well? So you talk to all of them through college, right?
Yeah, we'll talk with kindergartners all the way up to senior citizens and everyone in between. And we don't only go to schools. We go to churches. We go to any facility, housing facilities that have programs, activity centers, senior centers. Anywhere that we can go. We don't go to like people's houses, but we go anywhere that we can go to speak to people and raise awareness. Now, we don't necessarily talk about the issues of sexual violence with children. We often discuss bullying, which is an issue that is the age-appropriate way of talking about the issue of power and control, which is what rape and sexual assault are about. So we make sure it's age appropriate no matter what we're doing. But yeah, we definitely, often bullying, maybe safe touching for very young.
So is it hard to get through to those kind of kids? Is it hard to get, especially, I feel like middle school kids would be like hard to get through. They're just like kind of like at that stage where they're like, hitting puberty, they're pain in the butts, and they don't want to listen and that kind of stuff. Is it hard to get through to them?
I think it depends. I think that we go out with the intention of hopefully touching, if I get one child or one teen in that presentation to hear what I'm saying and that makes a difference for them, that's worth my time. You know what I mean? Everybody is not gonna get the same thing out of it, but if they learn one thing or that they didn't know before we came, or they felt a little bit more empowered, or that they could be assertive and speak and say no or whatever, that's our goal.
As far as like being a parent and having like little children or even growing up, I mean, what do you think is a good age to start talking about something like this, and like how would you go about it, I guess? Like, what if I wanted to talk to him? Would I start now? It just seems kind of crazy to start now, but
I would absolutely start now. And I say that because you don't even have to talk about rape or sex to talk to children about safe touching and to raise this issue. And the way that you can easily do this is talk about safe touching rules the way you would talk about fire safety rules or crossing the street, looking both ways. And some of the basic rules for this type of discussion is talking about, you know, what's a good touch? What is a good touch? That's maybe a hug or a kiss or holding hands. That could be a good touch. Or what's a bad touch? When someone hits you, someone makes you feel bad, they hurt you. What's a confusing touch, right? Sometimes you like to hug some people, but you don't want to hug everybody.
Right.
And you can discuss, you know, different touches. And then anytime you don't want someone to touch you, you can and should say no. And that's the dialogue that you can give children, those words that is your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to, no matter what. And people should only be touching your private body parts, which you can easily say are the parts of the body that are covered by bathing suits. So that keeps it really simple, and they can understand that. And no one should be touching those body parts except to keep you clean and healthy, like a doctor, maybe like mom, you know, that type of thing. And we even have a tool, and you can have one of your very own. This is a coloring book. It's called Good Touch, Bad Touch. It's in Spanish and English, and people can go through it with their children. You know, it talks about how you say no and, you know, ask for help, and we don't keep secrets, because that's one of the big problems when it comes to child sexual abuse is these children do not come forward. They don't talk about it on their own. There's so much shame, or they were threatened, or they're scared, or they don't even know what's going on is wrong because no one's told them that people shouldn't be touching you like that. And you can easily have this conversation without talking about sex or sexuality. But we really do encourage naming body parts, giving them their proper names, because when you're using euphemisms, right, oh, you know.
It's funny that you say that because my son knows. And it's funny, since I'm in the psychology of human sexuality class, I have my book in the back seat sometimes, and he'll be looking through it, and so he knows. He's like, "Oh, look, Mom, it's a penis." I'm like, "Yeah, let me take it."
But also,
and then one time he was with me in the bathroom, and he's like, "Oh, do you have a penis too?" And I'm like, "No, like, Mommy has a vagina." And then he's like,
awesome,
and then my teacher told me that he said that like at school, and then he's like, "Oh, I have a penis, and she has a vagina." And she was like, I was kind of shocked, but he didn't say it in a bad way. And I was like, no, he just
because that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's the same as nose, ears, mouth, whatever.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the approach. And the problem is, I mean, and I'm sure it's something that's discussed in your psychology of human sexuality class, it's the shame around this type of thing, which then contributes to the shame around rape and sexual assault.
Definitely.
And so when we're shaming children about their bodies, that's already an issue right there. So definitely allowing for that conversation in an appropriate way, just the way that you're doing it, that's a really good thing. So here, your very own.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm generous.
What do you guys do? I know you kind of talked about like some counseling sessions, but like what's the further process of helping somebody who comes in or somebody who's they just want to get away or they need help right now?
Right, so we definitely, I glossed a little over it, but we, in our hotline department, we also we have an accompaniment program, right? So, well, we're a nonprofit. We have a staff of about 12 people, so we're tiny. We clearly don't staff this 24-hour hotline by ourselves. We have a staff of about 70 plus volunteers that are trained, certified crisis counselors for sexual assault. They go in like a 50-plus hour training. They're certified. It's a state certification, and they are advocates. They advocate for survivors and their families with us, and they're our volunteer advocates, and they work on the hotline. And part of our hotline program is to accompany survivors. So these advocates, who's ever on call at the hotline at that time, if we get a call from a survivor who something's just happened and they want to go to the hospital and get an exam done, we go out and meet them at the hospital and do that exam, go through that process with them. We accompany So we accompany survivors to the hospital when they're receiving exams. We accompany them to court when they're doing interviews with district attorneys or testifying, preliminary hearings, what have you, and as well as to the police station when they're reporting or doing interviews with law enforcement. So our advocates are incredibly devoted to making sure that survivors have that support every step of the way, and then hopefully they will pursue counseling, whether it's with us or elsewhere, and we can get them, help them get into counseling here with us perhaps, and continue that support along the way. So we're definitely, our goal here at Project Sister is to really just support survivors every step of this really traumatic process, and making sure that at no point they will have to experience it alone, because they're not alone.
Right. And do you only work with women?
We work with men, women, and children.
Yeah, is there a difference of how, like, any way in helping a man as opposed to a woman or as opposed to a child?
Clearly you're going to interact and speak and approach every situation differently depending on what's going on, depending on who the survivor is, who, what family might be there with them, who are you know, we support everyone. You know, so clearly we're going to have, you don't speak to an adult the way you speak to a child. You know, that type of thing, it's going to be handled differently. All our advocates have teddy bears and often bring coloring books, because a lot of times at the hospitals it's sort of a long stay. You're there for a couple hours, it's, and, you know, can interact with the children. And those teddy bears, you can hear our advocates talk about it, that just bridges the gap between these children, because they're going through such a traumatic time, and then all these strangers are coming together to support, you know, and so that can be very scary. So we have, you know, tools like that, especially for children, to really bridge that gap, so we can create that relationship, at least in that moment, to support them and get them, you know, that support then. But the services are the same, you know, I mean, it's still the same things that are going to be open to any survivor, no matter their age, and it's just a matter of, you know, tailoring our approach to make sure it's going to work.
Can you give us just like a little bit of advice for maybe those who need, I don't know, what can I say? Someone who's been abused, like what can they do? What do you think we can do if maybe they don't want help? I mean, how can we maybe get to them a little bit and see if they can, you know, actually go out there and do the things that they need?
Right. Well, if you're talking about children, are we talking about children?
If you want.
Well, children and adults are different.
Okay,
children, you know, especially in our country, we're mandated reporters. If I have any knowledge or suspect any type of abuse of any kind of a child, I have to report. So that's a different, they don't get a choice, honestly, because we're protecting children. Now, adults get that choice. And this can be very frustrating. I imagine many of you sitting in that classroom right now know a friend, know someone who's experienced a rape or sexual assault that has not come forward. They might have told you, but they've not told anyone else. They've not reported it. They're not getting counseling. That is incredibly common because there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of shame. Unfortunately, in our country, we put the blame where it does not belong. We put it on the survivor, on the victim, which is not okay, which is not fair, and it's not even accurate. They're not to blame in any way. But unfortunately, our society does that, so that contributes to this silence and the fear of survivors to come forward and share their experience and ask for help. And a lot of times they feel incredibly alone. And one of the most important things that we can do as a friend, as a loved one, is to support them in the decisions that they make, which can be very difficult. Sometimes we might not agree with their decisions. But you need to report, you need to do this, I know it's good for you. But rape and sexual assault, as I'm sure you've talked about, I don't know, is not about sex. It's not about sexual desire. Oh, I couldn't control myself, I wanted you so bad. That's not what it's about. It's about power and control, and using sex as a means to exert power and control over someone else. So when you have a survivor of sexual violence, their power has been taken away from them, and they need to get that control back into their lives, and they need to make their own choices, and we just guide them or give them options and let them decide. You know, you have the option to, well, depending on how long it's been, maybe get that exam done. You have the option to report it to the police. You have the option of getting counseling. And the good thing, though, about our systems and that, you know, we have a sexual assault response team, the SART team, that comes together to really support survivors and make sure no one's slipping through the cracks, including forensic nurses that do the exams, the police, the advocates, the Rape Crisis Center, as well as victims advocates through the district attorney's office. And we really all come together to support and help. And even if you go and do that exam, you don't actually have to report. You can make it, you can do the exam and collect the evidence in case you'd like to report later. A lot of people don't know that. They think they have to report. They don't. Even though the police are there, you can say, I'm not reporting, I just want the exam. That's totally fine. A lot of people also don't know that they can have a friend with them. Not only do the advocates come out, but you can bring anyone with you to go to get that exam. And to get counseling anywhere, and even with us, wherever, you don't have to report. And I think a lot of people think that they might have to report.
So they're afraid to come out.
And so they're afraid to come forward. But we encourage reporting, of course, that's important, but at the same time, we need to let everyone make that decision, and then you need to support them in their decisions. But it's always really, we really encourage getting counseling, if nothing else, because you know, you want to make sure that they're working through it and moving forward, because it's incredibly traumatic, and that's not going to just go away. We could ignore it as much as we want, it's just not going to go away, and they need that support. So, and even as a friend, you can call our hotline and say, hey, I've got a friend, I don't know what to do, or I want to talk to them, I'm not sure how to do it, you know, and that's really important too, sort of, we'll give you some advice.